What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to a brand new day of CS2 case market coverage. We're going to be jumping right into this because we do not waste your time or your money here at this channel. Starting with the lowest priced, newest rare case, the snake bite case. We've actually seen about a 5 cent drop on this within the last few days. And this is typical because there's so many still listed on the market with this case. And at these lower priced ranges, you can't really, you got to take every price jump with a grain of salt just because there's still so many in circulation moving this price up and down. I would expect this to go back up to where it was like about a week ago within the next few weeks. No, I can't say for certain, but if you go ahead and look at how many are listed on the market, we've seen like about a 50K jump from the last video on what's been listed. So generally, that's to be expected when you see that many up there being added to see a little bit of a drop. That is normal market movement. The clutch case now at about 82 cents. Really about a cent drop, if anything, from the last week. Nothing too big on this. This case has been kind of stagnant over the course of the last few months. Generally, like up a good amount on the month, but overall hasn't been moving like the other cases have been moving, which isn't really a bad thing as it's still moving forward. It's just not doing it at a such a tremendous rate that we've been seeing some of these other cases do. Now the CS20s, these are up about a few cents from the last video. Realistically, these should be up into the 121, 122 range here very, very soon. I am recording this in the middle of the North American day, which is the biggest time for offloading cases. So we will be seeing some slight drops on some of these case prices, especially on like the front listing price. But don't get too caught up in that. That is just general offloading. Now, the Prisma cases have actually been, for the first time, staying relatively stagnant. They've been on a giant jump within the last, like, really 2 months. If you go ahead and look at the video, started about like 70 some cents a couple months ago, all the way up to 151 now on the month. We're at about a really a $1.16 range at the start of the month, so it actually doesn't look like as crazy of a jump as we've seen. I mean, realistically, that is crazy. 116 to 161 at a point. And I do think we'll be climbing right back into that 160-ish range very soon. This very well could be because we are filming this in the middle of the North American day. So, yeah, same with the Prisma case. Haven't been seeing like insane growth past where it was, but at least we're not seeing giant drops or anything like that. Now, the danger zones all the way up to 161, so about 5 cents up from the last video. Just have been moving on a steady trajectory upwards, reaching their all-time high now at about 161 on those. Another case that's actually been moving, and this is probably the biggest mover of the day, is the shadow case, all the way up to 215 now. From where we saw it in the last video, I think around the 190-ish range, 180-ish range, something around there, when we filmed the last video. So now all the way up here to its all-time high by far. Well, I guess, I mean, it technically reached a peak, but again, like I said, prices are always higher at night. We'll be seeing it return to that price very soon, probably by tonight in around that 220 range. So looking really good on the shadow case now. The Horizon case up to 212, which is again looking very good just because we're actually at kind of a high listing amount for this case specifically. Sometimes this case can hover around 7K, 9K listings regularly. And it's now all the way up to 15, almost 16,000 and is still holding a 212 price range. So looking pretty good on these Horizon cases. I would expect these to continue growing over the next month, especially because we're in the lower amounts of listings for this price range. So all it really takes is like somebody to buy up a couple thousand cases and we will be up, nearing that 220 range very soon and climbing above that over time. The Falchions have actually been moving a slight bid up to actually a very good bid up from the last video, about 10 cents increase. These are another one that's just been moving on a solid, steady trajectory. While we haven't been seeing crazy, insane shoot ups like we saw with the danger zones or something like that, just very steady, healthy growth on this case. Falchion case as well as recently the Shadow case. Now, the only other cases we've been seeing a ton of movement on is something like the Revolver case has been moving upwards. It doesn't look like it, but it generally has been up around to the 370 range. It was at 340 some not too long ago. I think in the last video, yeah, we filmed it around 347, something like that. So moving back up into the 370 range is pretty nice on those. Now, with these mid-tier priced cases, we actually haven't been seeing a ton of movement, to be honest with you. The Spectrums, the Chromas, not a ton of movement. If you go ahead and look at where they've been, they kind of just move up and down and up back to the same point and down back a bit. Like if you go ahead and look at the trajectory of like any of these middle price cases, they all are honestly taking the same trajectory right now. So it's hard to at any one point be like, oh, dang, it took a drop down to 4.3 because it always goes back up. And this is just kind of how these mid tier price cases move. It takes a bit longer for them sometimes. And now, when they surge, they surge. They can go up way faster than lower price cases, but sometimes it takes longer for them to even hit a point where they start moving at all, which is why we see stagnation for longer periods on these mid tier price cases. Um, which is why when I made that video about the mid-tier price cases moving so much, I was actually shocked because they'd stayed there for such a long time. Whereas these lower price cases generally tend to move upwards steadily day by day, day by day. You can see it every single day. Now, looking into these higher price cases, one that I have seen that's really kind of a mover lately is the Chroma case. This case is now up into the 650 range. For a while, we were pretty shocked to see it get all the way up into $6, which is crazy because it was like at it was under $5, like literally maybe a couple months ago, a few months ago. And then it was in that $5 range for a while. Now it's climbed way past that and could soon be reaching again. Look at it. It really only might take like 100 or so cases to get this a lot closer to that $7 range, which is why when they do reach these higher price margins, like, they can move so much faster. It just takes, like, somebody to be able to buy in the first place to be able to move it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's such a higher buy-in price. A lot less people buy them, so they stay stagnant for longer periods of time. If you even look at this case, it holds that same testament. But when it moves, and that's what we're seeing right now. It was in about the 580-ish range for a long time. Now soon to maybe possibly be pushing into that $7 range soon. So a lot of movement on the Chroma case. And that's it mostly for the movers. I haven't looked into some of these. Like, I actually didn't look at this Broken Fang. It looks kind of to be up to me. It is a tremendous amount on the month. Started about 690 all the way up to 30 just about on this Broken Fang case. So a lot of good movement on that one as well. Now, the breakouts kind of stayed the same. The winter offensive, it's hard to say for sure on that one because it moves up and down so much. That one will fluctuate from $8 to over $10 sometimes, and just move up and down on that. So take it with a grain of salt on that one. But the glove case has continued its plunging forward into the 1030 range. And again, this is in the middle of the day, so we could very well see this grow even higher in the nighttime. This is at an all-time high for the glove case. It just broke into that $10 range a very short while ago. So for it to be all the way up to 1030 and kind of staying there steadily now, and could very well grow past that very soon, is a very good thing to see for that glove case. Now, that's about it on the big movers that I like to cover, just because I don't get too much into these higher price cases, other than maybe this esports 2013 case, because just like a month ago this was like $60, now all the way to 110. So yeah, really, really big movement. Yeah, like, it's hard to see from this graph because it doesn't look like it, but it genuinely is crazy movement from 60 some bucks all the way up to 110 on these. Obviously these aren't something you can really buy into, but I like to cover crazy changes like that because that's actually like a really big move. The Bravo case is one that is also in that higher price range, but just has not made a insane move like that Esports 2013 case has, because this has just really been moving lately. There's only really 51 left on the Steam market. There's definitely a lot more in people's inventories that still need to be offloaded, so this price could very well drop at some point. But still interesting to look at. The Riptide case is really the last one I want to talk about. Well, it hasn't been moving crazy lately, like, per se. Uh, I mean, within the last month it has been. I just meant within maybe since the last video hasn't been extremely crazy. We filmed it at about here. I guess it has been really. I mean, it went up about 50 some cents, 60 some cents. And this is really a good buy too. I've mentioned that before. This is a discontinued case, meaning we'll never be seeing this drop again. And that same concept kind of applies with all of these rare cases, but the Riptides, really any of the discontinued cases, which there's only a few of those case types, you can generally expect to only ever go up. The rares, it's the same way with rare cases. They're just dropped in such low amounts that it won't ever affect the market, but they are still technically dropping. Something like the Riptide case, which is a very new case, even though it's very new, it's discontinued, and we've seen really tremendous jumps on this case throughout its lifetime. So yeah, that's just another one I want to tell you guys to keep your eye on, is the Riptide, because I think that could be reaching somewhere like $15-$20 within the next year or so. Easily, honestly. It was at about $7 like a couple months ago. So Tremendous jumps on that one. And that's about it, folks, for the market. Thank you guys all for coming out. Let me know how you guys are feeling about it down below. Another day of great growth and just steady pushing forward. Not giant, giant jumps like we've seen in the past, but a very steady, meaningful day in market movement. Really last few days since we filmed. So thank you guys all for coming out. I'll be seeing you guys in the next one, and peace out.